That little marketing twink, Be Better.
I cannot believe he put that on the internet.
At the expense of Black and brown people. And or women.
Be Better has a habit of targeting women and POC.
They smeared this influencer as a racist and chased him off TikTok, but turns out he was right all along. Up first, we've got to talk about the interesting story of the TikTok influencer Be Better. He's a Canadian TikToker with a background in marketing who made it big over the last year or so. I watched his videos. They're pretty interesting, doing these deep dives, 5 to 10 minutes, where he goes into the downfall of various celebrities and influencers, their products, their brands, their career implosions, all through a marketing perspective, and explains what they did wrong and criticizes their different choices and strategies and products and all the different things they've done in these deep dives that are super popular.
Hi, so I have a master's degree in business, and today I'm going to use it to analyze the glorious downfall of Blake Lively.
But back in August, he made the mistake of daring to criticize then candidate Kamala Harris and her marketing strategy.
Hi, so I have a master's degree in business, and today I'm going to use it to analyze the marketing strategy of Kamala Harris's campaign, and ultimately why I believe if she continues with the horrible marketing strategy she has been employing, why she will ultimately end up losing the presidency to Donald Trump.
So even though he's a very liberal guy, he actually applied to work on the Marianne Williamson campaign, a far-left Democratic primary challenger to Biden. He was ruthlessly attacked, smeared as racist, and hounded off of TikTok.
I cannot believe he put that on the internet. I thought that he was smart enough to understand that that was a horrible decision. It was so poorly done, poorly thought out, and you came for the wrong group at the wrong time.
Really bad points that showed he had no understanding of politics in the United States and also communication, and some of his points were just downright offensive. So
can y'all please learn to critique Kamala Harris or her campaign without being anti-black or sexist? It's like every 3 to 5 business days, one of y'all comes on this app to spew absolutely nonsense about the upcoming election at the expense of Black and brown people. And or women.
So by now, if you haven't seen it, that little marketing twink, Be Better, has created this TikTok in which he is criticizing Kamala Harris's campaign. What he's saying is egregious.
Be Better has a habit of targeting women and POC above average, if not almost exclusively.
All over a video that has actually aged pretty well, now that we know she lost so bad. So anyway, he released this video in August criticizing Harris and her campaign at a time when she was kind of riding high and Democrats were in full Delulu mode about what an amazing candidate she was and how she was going to slay Trump. But he pushed back in this video where he critiqued her campaign's marketing strategy. Now, we're going to dive deep into Be Better's story and his comeback, but first, a quick message from today's sponsor. I'm a super fidgety person, and I have trouble sitting still without biting my nails or falling into another bad habit. That's why I love today's sponsor, Fume. Fume is a flavored air device that's perfect for anybody who's looking to break away from bad habits, or just wants something enjoyable to use. It's nicotine-free, non-toxic, and completely guilt-free. No batteries, no vapor, and nothing to charge. It's easy to use, safe anywhere, and it looks amazing. Fume has a sleek, high-quality design that anyone will love unboxing. It is not a vape, and it is not addictive, but it's great to fidget with and calm your anxiety. This holiday season, you can give the gift of better habits with Fume. Head to tryfume.com/Brad Polumbo and use code Brad Polumbo to get a free Fume topper when you order a journey pack. It's the perfect addition to make your gift even more special, and if you're lucky, you could even win one of Fume's limited edition gold-plated devices this holiday season. Again, that's tryfume.com/Brad Polumbo, or just scan the QR code on screen now to grab your Fume today or make somebody's holiday unforgettable. Now, back to today's show. His critique had essentially 3 main points. One was that her campaign was too wrapped up in identity and representation. 2 was that she didn't have a coherent policy plan or vision and wasn't laying out specific solutions to the problems that Americans cared about. And 3 was that she was spending too much time and energy on social media marketing and on celebrity endorsements and not enough time meeting people where they were at. Now, at the time, I watched his video and I didn't agree with every single point, but I thought like the thrust of it was more or less true. I thought the identity politics one, he missed the mark a little bit because it requires some context and some explanation, because Kamala did not run in the few months that she ran a campaign a heavily focused on identity politics campaign. She kind of leaned out of that, actually. However, many of her allies and advocates did push identity politics, and she, for her entire political career before this campaign, did wrap herself in identity politics. Her famous pronoun moments and other kind of woke stuff that she's done over the years. She was very much an identity politics politician until she ran for president. Then she did lean out of it. So that part could have used more nuance and I think wasn't spot on in his original video. But it certainly wasn't a racist or hateful screed or anything like that, yet that was very much how it was received. So I just can't help but feel bad for this guy, because he had the internet viciously bully him. I remember watching all these videos come out at the time. It was really crazy, calling him racist. He was like the main villain of TikTok for days on end. His comment section was just full of hate and pushback. People spread weird conspiracy theories about him secretly being on Trump's payroll that just weren't true, and they called him racist. And he even told me, I spoke with him a little bit to cover this story. He told me they doxed his address and sent him threats all over this. I mean, not perfect, not 100% correct, but this critique of Kamala Harris that proved largely correct, and even at the time was hardly like an extreme or controversial take outside of the echo chamber that is TikTok. So first and foremost, I just want to know when this guy is getting his apology, really, because it is actually wrong and messed up to tar someone as a racist bigot to millions of people without any actual reason to believe that, other than that they made a critique you disagree with of somebody who happens to be a black woman. And I also think this story is interesting because it kind of gets at the problem the Democrats and the progressive side of the spectrum had in the build-up to this election. They had this delusional optimism that just was never really matched by the reality on the ground, but they just told themselves that Kamala was so amazing, she was slaying it, she was just going to be an iconic candidate, and look how popular her TikToks are, and they just didn't realize that doesn't necessarily translate to support on the ground in key battleground states, and that many of the things about her that this guy, Be Better, did accurately diagnose. For example, when he says that she ran on vague or little policy details, that is true. You don't have to take my word for this. Axios, a center-left news outlet, even labeled Kamala Harris the no-comment candidate because they asked her to clarify her position on 12 different issues, and her campaign declined. They did employ, as Be Better put it, ambiguity as a political strategy, so people could see what they wanted to see in her. A moderate, if they're more moderate, or a progressive, if they're more progressive. That is not a crazy, outlandish theory or some kind of smear. It's actually an astute political observation that he made in his original video that was true then and is true now. In the same way, her use of celebrity endorsements and insane expenditures on those endorsements and events has also aged like milk, and people are very critical of it now, but of course he was attacked for all of this at the time over a video that wasn't perfect, but in hindsight got more right than it got wrong. Well, he's now making a comeback after many months away from the spotlight and from creating content on TikTok. And he put out this video responding to this controversy and saying essentially that he thinks the story of his downfall is an insight into the world of social media and what goes wrong when creators dare criticize or stray from the predominant narrative, which he calls the script.
We could analyze the downfall of Be Better. But in order to do this the best way that we can, we actually have to go deeper than we've ever gone before. We have to go all the way to the basement to understand and analyze the physical structure of social media itself. The script acts as a double-edged sword. On the one end, it rewards those who follow it. It rewards them with validation, with followers, and in TikTok's case, with actual money. But on the other side, it also punishes those just as strongly who go off script. And this brings us to the inciting incident of my downfall. Now, I didn't fully know it at the time because I didn't receive my script in the mail, maybe because I'm Canadian. But in August, the script on TikTok was clear. The Harris campaign was infallible, success was inevitable, and anyone who dared to suggest otherwise was committing an act of treason or blasphemy or helping the other side. So I was backstage witnessing a lot of the performers, aka the content creators, who were very deep in their roles and getting tons of praise, adulation, and applause for doing the simplest performances. And I stupidly thought that I could spark a more meaningful conversation I felt needed to be had. So I decided to step on stage in the middle of their performances, and I attempted to speak to the audience directly. And I told them, what you're witnessing is a show. It's not grounded in reality. And if you don't change course now, Donald Trump will win. So the fellow performers sensed the audience's outrage, readjusted their performances, their roles, and then recast me in the play as the villain. And I have to say, they did a fantastic job. Almost overnight, the conversation was immediately directed away from my original critique and laser focused on attacking me personally. Nepo baby, scammer, liar, fraud, Trump supporter. It didn't matter that none of this was true. All that mattered was that it appeased the emotional reactions of the audience and continued the narrative that they had already invested in. They even leaked my home address and encouraged violence against me. So if that doesn't show you the lengths to which people will go to protect the script, I don't know what will.
I think Be Better had a pretty insightful analysis of social media here and how groupthink and herd mentality can lead people astray. And that's why I think this story matters. One, because to me at least, it's a reminder that cancel culture is still very much with us, and we still do have these people on the internet and in progressive dominated spaces who do want to smear anyone who disagrees with them or says something they don't like as a racist and try to silence them and hound them and harass them, bullying them rather than explaining why they're wrong or disagreeing. I mean, anybody was free, and some people did do this to make an earnest critique of Be Better's arguments and say like, hey, this is wrong, this is invalid, here's why. That's not what I have an issue with. What I have an issue with is the people who harassed him, doxed him, went after his family, called him racist in all these videos, attacked him, went after his company that he does, where he sells like medicinal honeys and other things that has nothing to do with this, and spread bizarre conspiracy theories about him somehow being funded by Trump that I've looked into and simply are not true. Again, this dude is a liberal, and that's what's funny to me. He wanted to work on the campaign of Marianne Williamson, who's like very progressive, more progressive than Kamala. And so they're attacking one of their own who tried to critique Harris from like a, hey, I kind of want her to win, but like she needs to do this better or Trump will win. They attacked their own side for it. And I think that tells you everything you need to know about the modern Democratic Party and why they lost. Remember, why did Kamala Harris refuse to go on Joe Rogan? Not that that one thing would have changed everything, but it would have been a huge opportunity to reach millions of young people, young men in particular, that she needed to sway. And she passed it up because she was afraid her woke staff would get mad at her for engaging with a controversial transphobe or whatever the heck they would have said about it. That is just one example of the kind of brain rot that I think broke her campaign and led it astray. And that shows why the left isn't able to sharpen their candidates and produce top-tier candidates to take on Republicans and win elections, because they attack their own side when somebody tries to ever critique what they're doing. There's very much a herd mentality, an echo chamber where different ideas are not tolerated, and that, shocker, does not lead to great ideas and great outcomes and end products. No, the open exchange of ideas and criticisms and critiques, that leads to a sharper, better product in the end. But when you have a herd mentality that people aren't allowed to question, you never go through that important process to separate the wheat from the chaff and actually get your best that your side has to offer. Now, the question I have is, will people really learn anything from this? And sadly, I think the answer to that one is most likely not. But what do you guys think of this story? Let me know in the comments below. Do hit that like button and make sure you're subscribed. And remember to comment with your thoughts, because I do take the time to read the comments and I pick a few to respond to in every episode.